Listen, getting successful, whatever you consider successful, if it's rich, whatever, it's not a magic trick. It's not God picks certain people he'll make rich and certain people he don't. He gives all of us as his children the power of choice. You have a say-so in that. You can decide to be rich, and with God's help, it's highly doable. But you first have to think it. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is here. I'm no better than none of y'all. I'm not a better person than you. I'm not a better Christian than you. God don't love me more than you. None of that. Listen to me. It's not what makes it hard is your lack of belief that it can happen for you. The fact of it is, though, it's very doable. See, but you got to change, though. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So if you're at a place in your life and you ain't happy with it, you have to change some things. But you have to make a conscientious decision that you're going to change. And it's not dependent on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think. It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter what your children think. It don't matter. They have nothing to do with it. This decision is yours and yours alone. It's two people born in a hospital every day. It's a person that's born in a hospital that's going to get a job, and somebody born in a hospital that's going to give them a job. You get to decide which one you're going to pick. You get to decide. Let me tell you something. You get to decide if I'm going to be rich, poor, mediocre, plentiful, happy, sad. You have a decision to make. Your mind, all right, here we go. This is the teaching moment. Let me give you this so you can get on with your 2019. You walk in the house, you pick up the remote control. Let me teach you how this works. And you press the power button. When I told you 2019 will be the best year of your life, but you have to claim it. You have to expect it to be the best year of your life. You have to live your life with the expectation that great things are coming your way. And that's how it works. Now let me teach it to you. You grab your remote, you press the power button. What do you expect to happen? You expect the TV to come on. Guess what? It come on. If you want to see Sports Center channel 46, and you press 46 and OK or select, what do you expect to come on your TV? Sports Center. And guess what show up? Sports Center. They got the concept of creating a remote from the Bible. See, God is tied to all of this. You better understand what I'm trying to tell you now. The Bible says a man is as he thinketh. God created us in his image. God thought of this world. He thought of it, so he created it. So he made you just like him, that your thoughts can create things. He made you just like him. Now you can't go make earth and heaven like he did, but you can make a better world for yourself. There is a scripture, Habakkuk 2:2. It says, write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry means take a long time, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. That's in the Bible. That ain't in the rich people's copy. That's in everybody's Bible. The problem is everybody don't do it. But it's right there. But you got to do it. I'm just telling you, if you don't do it, it's too hard. It's almost impossible. That vision board has changed my life. Everything I put on my vision board, I get. Everything. Now, you have to understand something. It's not going to come when you want it to come. It comes at an appointed time. That's the trick. But the appointed time is what throws people off. Because when you ask God for something, he sends it, he ships it immediately. Soon as you ask him something, you really believe he'll do it, he boxes it up and he ships it to you immediately. The problem with the package is he never gives you the date that the package is going to arrive. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. Because if he told you the date that the package would arrive, it would destroy the requirement he has of all of us, which is faith. Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. So if you ask God for $1 million and he tell you, I'm gonna give it to you in March of 2020, you wouldn't need no faith. You'd be talking to people crazy because you know in 2020, I'm finna be a millionaire. But he sent $1 million as soon as you ask for it. But it's going to come at an appointed time. The problem is people stop waiting on the package. Then when it get to you, because he delivers only to Faith Street, when he delivers to you on Faith Street, but you done stepped off of Faith Street, you over here on I don't see how circle. He don't ship there. Instead of staying on Faith Street, you done stepped over here to I don't believe it Boulevard, or it took too long Avenue. Then the package come to Faith Street. It's just like the post office and FedEx. If you ain't there to receive it, it gotta go back. That's how it works, man. You have control of this. This belongs to you. This is yours. You're the captain, you're the master, you're the foreman, you're the general, you're the head. Don't give control of this to nobody, especially the devil. Do not let Satan come in here and function and operate, because he has one mission: to keep you off course, to make you not think it's possible, to make you think that God don't hear you. His job is only to destroy you, to make sure that you don't become what God intended for you to become. That's the mission of the devil. Now, if you don't believe in the devil, this conversation ain't for you. If you don't believe in God, this conversation ain't for you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who are spiritually based. If you get control of this, that's why I'm telling you these two books. And look, the best book you can read is the Bible. If you read the book of Proverbs over and over and over, it's the book of wisdom and understanding. It would really help your life if you just read. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the only book in the Bible I've read cover to cover. I've only read the book of Proverbs. I've read some scriptures every now and then. I only know 5 or 6 scriptures by heart. I'm just gonna be real with you. But I've memorized them 5 or 6 scriptures, and them 5 or 6 got me here today. I know a lot of people that know the Bible inside out ain't got nothing to show for it. You know why? Because they memorized it, but they didn't apply it. I have applied 6 scriptures to change my life. But these books that I told you about, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale and The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, you know what it does? It just teaches you how this works. Once you get this, y'all, you can change everything. Do you understand? Negativity, let me just give you this and I'm gonna walk away. Negativity, you can protect yourself from negativity. And that's what stops most people, negative thoughts. You can coat your mind from negativity. It's a real simple exercise to do. I do it every morning before I walk out the door. So I walk out as a positive person. You know, I get tired sometimes. That's different from being negative. because I get mentally drained from my job at times. But to coat your mind from negativity, the way you can put a coating around your mind is with one simple thing: gratitude. Gratitude erases negativity. I'm gonna show you how this works. If you wake up in the morning and you start having negative thoughts, man, this ain't my day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm tripping, I just don't feel myself. Every time you feel in the middle of the day, if you feel yourself doing that, stop, just stop for a second and start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for. Not everything you want, everything you already have, because what you have is substantial. You just haven't gone over the list and taken inventory in a long time. But the fact that you can walk, that's a blessing. The fact that you woke up, that's another blessing. The fact that you can see, think, reason, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go somewhere and get yourself something to eat, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go and turn the key and call someplace home, that's another blessing. The ability to dream is a blessing. The fact that you have an opportunity to get it right is another blessing. The fact that you're beautiful, that's another blessing. The fact that you have any measure of health, that's another blessing. And I'm just talking to you, I don't even know you. I could give you 50 things you ought to be grateful for right now. I don't even know you. Start coating your mind with gratitude. It'll change everything for you. God is good, man. You ought to give him a chance to work in your life. Thank y'all for coming.
This one simple principle will change your life. It doesn't cost any more energy to think big than it does small. We wonder why we don't have any strength, why we can't get ahead. It's because our thoughts are limiting us. You can't think defeat and have victory. Your life is going to follow your thoughts. Be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. Your thoughts affect your actions. Then your actions, in turn, translate into whether or not you succeed in your career, relationships, and life. Your thoughts also play a part in your values and beliefs, which influence the quality of your personal relationships and how you view the world at large. It's important that we don't get caught up in only thinking positively. You can sit in the garden of your mind telling yourself there are no weeds, but to build a truly fulfilling life, you need to stop covering up the weeds with positive thinking and pick them instead. You need to get to the root of what's holding you back and cultivate an overall positive mindset that doesn't ignore negative emotions, but knows how to control them. Do you blame others when bad things happen to you? Or do you look to yourself for the solution? When you take responsibility for how you think, act, and feel, you have an internal focus of control, and that's a key trait of successful people. This type of thinking lends you a deep belief in yourself and a positive mindset that allows you to get up and start over after a failure. From there, everything else in your life can fall into place. Remember, the only thing in life you can control is yourself. You can't control every event, but you can control how you react to them. Your mindset governs what thoughts flow through your head and how you feel and react to each one. If your mindset is poor, everything around you is going to seem all the worse. For example, you're at the airport and are unnecessarily delayed while going through security. Then the airline attendant checking you in is rude to you. Another airline worker overhears, apologizes, and bumps your ticket up to business class. Once you're in the air, are you fixated on the hassles you face in the airport, or are you grateful for your spacious seat and free cocktail? Do you think of the delay as wasted time, or as a way to take time and reconnect with yourself? Do you automatically revert to the power of positive thinking, or do negative thoughts take over? You can choose to focus on the negatives or the positives of this and any scenario. But if you choose to focus on what's bothering you, it will begin to negatively impact your life. You'll also attract more negative situations. You may punish your partner or others for not living up to your expectations, eroding your relationships and adding to more bitterness. By consciously choosing to focus on positive moments in your life, you'll begin to reframe your thoughts, cultivating an abundance mindset that is grateful and open rather than negative and closed off. Study your habits and form new ones. You can't form new habits and harness the power of positive thinking if you're unaware of your current ones. Are there things that set you into a negative spiral of self-doubt? Do you react to situations openly, or do you utilize defense mechanisms? If so, what are they? Perhaps you become agitated whenever you start thinking about going after a promotion at work. Your thoughts take you to a dark place, and positive thinking goes out the window. You begin to question your skill set, and then you wonder if you'll ever move up in your field. Maybe you'll just quit. Think of all the time you're wasting by falling back on this negative habit. Self-doubt is almost always rooted in fear, often the fear of failure. Doing something and failing seems like it would be unbearable, so your mind comes up with all sorts of reasons as to why you won't even try. If you give in to these negative thoughts, you might not fail, but you will stagnate, which is worse. As Tony says, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you fail, at least you can learn something. If you stagnate, you won't. What if, instead of getting swept up in a pattern of negative thoughts, you refocused your energy and developed empowering habits that use positive thinking? Stop the spiral of doubt by blocking it with positive thoughts. If you're able to cut off a negative thought pattern before it gets out of hand, you can shift to recalling positive affirmations instead. By training your mind to block negative thoughts with positive thinking, you're steadily training yourself to stop thinking in a negative way. Fear won't rule you anymore. That's the power of positive thinking.
If you think that people can win just by avoiding failure, then you need to think again. Actually, the real winners are those who learn how to respond to failure with positivity. You need to get to the root of what is holding you back and cultivate an overall positive mindset. We wonder why we don't have the strength and why we are not going ahead. It is just because our thoughts are limiting us. Your life is going to be based on your thoughts. Therefore, you need to be careful of what you think. Positive thinking gives you the power to control the situation and circumstances, and negative thinking gives the power to the circumstance to control you. Your thoughts play a part in your values and beliefs, which influence the quality of your personal relationship and how you see the world. If you have a glass half empty mentality, then you will keep pointing out the drawbacks of achieving goals, and in the end, you will remain stuck in the same situation. Positive thinking creates certainty in an uncertain situation. Imagine if things are not going in your favor and you think that you are in hell. Let me ask you a question. Why would you stay in hell? You need to get out of it as soon as possible, because your destination is not hell. It is heaven. Positive thinking allows you to become such kind of person whose focus is on a solution, not the problem. Remember, your thinking is very important. Whatever you think, you become. The strongest power of positive thinking is that it lets you to do everything better than negative thinking. If you understand the power of your thoughts, then you would never ever think a negative thought, because negative thinking not only ruins your career, but it also ruins your life. When you become a negative thinker, it even becomes hard for you to reach your destination by going through straight roads. On the other hand, if you are a positive thinker, you will find a way even through mountains, and ultimately, you will reach your destination. That's the power of positive thinking. It is easy to go through life, holding on to the things that are weighing us down, like guilt, resentment, doubts, stress, and depression. But the problem is, when we allow these things in, they take over the space for the good things that should be there. Imagine that your mind is like a container, and it is created to be filled with joy, happiness, and success. But if you allow worry that pushes out the peace, imagine how your life would be. One thing you need to keep in mind is that there is no space for both. Your thoughts become your words, and ultimately, it becomes your reality. Wherever you are standing today, it is just because of your thoughts and what you have said about yourself. Words are like a seed, so you are giving life to what you are saying. If you continue to say it, then it will eventually become a reality. Whether you realize it or not, you are predicting your future. Your life will continue to move on the routes of your thoughts. If you are building up a positive mindset, it means that you are giving powers to yourself. Those people who always think that they will never get out of debt will never get a good shape, and they are unable to achieve their goals. They have been stuck in the same situation because they are not even trying. They don't realize that they have the ability. They can achieve anything if they want. Let me give you an example. The eagle flies so high without any fear of falling, and no storm or rain or anything else can become a hurdle in their way. It is just because eagles believe in their strong wings. In the same way, if you believe in yourself, trust me, nothing can let you down. If you really want to be happy in your life, then keep your heart free of hate, keep your mind free from worry, and always think the brighter side of anything you are going to achieve. Whenever you start thinking positively, you are halfway there. Do you always blame others for your failure? Or you have the audacity to take responsibility and find the solution to every problem? You need to build up a mindset that even though the problems are big, you are strong enough to overcome those issues, and you will soon get of you all these problems. Your positive thinking will change your whole day, and you will start believing that you can achieve your goal. If you build a positive mindset, then it will change your whole life.
Negative thinking is a major problem because you've got to get control of this. You actually can control what this does. No one else is in charge. If the devil is in charge, it's because you gave him permission. You allowed him in. If God is operating up there, it's because you gave him permission. You allowed him in. It's a very... Listen to me. It's not a magic trick, man. If you want to be successful, you have to get control of this. Like I was telling her earlier, look, you can eradicate negative thinking from your life. Now, it's not going to say you're not going to ever have a negative thought. That's not human. I have them, but I don't have them nowhere near as frequent as I used to because I learned what they are, how they work. I get rid of them. I don't have time for you. I'm on a positive track. I got things I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to be successful and I'm trying to be happy. If you're trying to be successful or happy, you have no room for negativity. The best way to mask yourself from negativity every morning is to start with gratitude. I'm telling you, man, it's a very simple process. Now, there are some books that you can buy. There's Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking. It's a very old book. It's only in paperback. It's called The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. I read this book when I was 20. It started the process to change in my life. Then I read a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. It's by David Schultz. This just trains you how to think big. You know, it doesn't take any more brain power to think big than it does small. Big thinking gets rid of negativity. Dreams and visions gets rid of negativity. But you got to remember, man, that you operate. When you pray, God ain't the only one here to pray. The devil is listening to you. So his job is to dissuade you. His job is to keep you off track. Devil ain't got but one job. He don't want you to be successful. He don't want you to discover your dreams. He don't want you talking to God. So he get busy. He busy, man. He send people your way all the time. He all over the internet. He all over social media. The devil got imps. He got people work for him all the time. All they do is just do what he say. Say something funky about her. Yeah. But you can control this part. Now, what you cannot do is bury yourself by using your success compared to other people. See, because here's the danger. Let me teach you this. Success is not how far you got. Because see, you're going to be disappointed all the time. Because somebody always further than you. So now you'll forever be disappointed. Success ain't how far you got. Success is how far you got from where you started. That's your success. That's yours. You can be successful, but if you constantly looking at somebody else, if I look at Oprah money, I start feeling bad about me. Because I ain't got Oprah money, man. Oprah got $1 billion. I don't have nowhere near no $1 billion. But you mean to tell me that I ain't smart enough to go?
That daily you have to prime yourself. You have to do something for 10 minutes minimum. If you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. And
ooh, that's so good.
I mean, I just like, you gotta do it, right?
That's good. If you don't have 10 minutes,
you don't have a life
to give to priming yourself.
That's right.
You
And
don't
if you
have a
want a prime life, you want a beautiful life,
Yeah.
a beautiful family.
Oh, I love that you
But
say
I do
that.
this first time I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
People always ask me, how are you so up all the time? But part of it is I attend all these seminars,
Yes.
I teach all this. But the real reason is
You prime yourself.
I prime myself. That's what I've done for years. It's like I changed my body, this radical breathing pattern or movement. There's many ways to do it. But then I do 10 minutes, and I do. It usually goes more because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But 10 minutes is how I get myself to do it. 3.5 minutes of pure gratitude about 3 things. And I pick one of those 3 to be simple, because I don't want to be the astronaut that, he went to the moon, that was his idea of adventure, and then they all come back and were depressed because what do I do for the rest of my life?
Yes.
So the wind in my face, my children's faces, anything. And the reason for gratitude is the 2 emotions that mess us up the most are fear and anger.
Yeah.
And you can't be grateful and fearful simultaneously. They don't go together. And you can't be angry and grateful simultaneously. So if you literally start your day cultivating that, this part I was talking about creating a highway to happiness.
Yeah.
And then I do 3 minutes of my 3 to thrive. What are 3 outcomes or results I'm really committed to? And I see them as done and fulfilled. And in 10
For
minutes,
that day?
I usually look at something at 6 months to 12 months out. Wow. Something that's a little bigger. And then what I feel is fulfilled and done, and I get thanks for it. And you're at the end of those 10 minutes, and usually it's 15 or 18 for me, I am so wired. Now, I've done that for years. It's been the basic. What's different with suffering is measuring it moment to moment over. And then the third one for me is, okay, how do I love more? Love to me is an action. It's not a word, it's not an emotion. It's like, if you love, you act accordingly. So love, and what can I do in a loving way, and then what can I be grateful for? And that little 3-step process ends the suffering.
70% of the time, people live in stress, and living in stress is living in survival. Now, all organisms in nature can tolerate short-term stress. A deer gets chased by a pack of coyotes. When it outruns the coyotes, it goes back to grazing and the event is over. And the definition of stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of balance, out of homeostasis. The stress response is what the body innately does to return itself back to order. So you're driving down the road, someone cuts you off, you jam on the brakes, you give them the finger, and then you settle back down and the event is over and boom, now everything's back to normal. But what if it's not a predator that's waiting for you outside the cave, but what if it's your coworker sitting right next to you? And all day long, you're turning on those chemicals because they're pushing all your emotional buttons. When you turn on a stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease because no organism in nature can live in emergency mode for that extended period of time. It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease, long-term effects. Human beings, because of the size of the neocortex, we can turn on a stress response just by thought alone. We can think about our problems and turn on those chemicals. That means then our thoughts could make us sick. So if it's possible that our thoughts could make us sick, is it possible then our thoughts could make us well? The answer is absolutely yes.
All of you have targets, things that you're after. If you're going to get a new result, if you're going to grow your business, if you're going to be able to support your mom, if you're going to get rid of the anxiety, if you're going to be able to overachieve and not have all that fear inside of you, you obviously need to get a new result. You're going to have to get new action. We all know that. You don't get new results with old action. What human beings can do is amazing. What they will do is usually disappointing. It's not because we're not capable of it. It's because we don't have new actions because we get in certain emotional states that dominate us, like anxiety, like fear of failure. So if you're in a state of fear, you're going to behave very differently and get very different results than if you were in a place of being courageous or bold or warm or connected or playful, any of those. So the most important key to changing your life in any situation is to change results, you got to change behavior. But to change behavior, you got to change the emotional state you're in.
The fact is this. You are playing the program 95% of the day, meaning your life is a printout of your program. Anything you're struggling to try to accomplish, whether it's health or love, relationships, whatever it is, if you're struggling, it represents a simple fact. Your subconscious programming doesn't support that conclusion. So the fact is, what are my programs? Look at your struggle. And wherever you're struggling, the struggle is not because the universe won't provide for you. The struggle is an internal job. The struggle is you're trying to overcome previous programming that prevents you to go to that destination. So the wonderful part about this understanding is you don't have to review your life. You can look right now. At this one moment, just look in your head and say, what are the things that I keep trying to get? And they seem to be elusive. I can't get them. They're always out of reach. I say, the universe is not holding back. It's your own invisible subconscious behavior. And once you understand where the issues are, and you start to really focus on the point that it's not the universe that's providing the trouble, it's myself, you have the first inclination, the first idea, the first understanding of how to change your life, because now you know exactly what issue is confronting you. You can change the programming. You can rewrite your subconscious programs. If you took the wishes and desires of the conscious mind and use that as a program to put the beliefs into the subconscious mind, it's the most exciting and liberating thing you can ever do in your life. You know why? Because once it's in the subconscious program, 95% of the day, without you even thinking about it, your mind will take you to that direction. And that is your freedom.
I define concentration as the ability to keep that awareness on one thing for a prolonged period of time. So if I can keep my awareness on Eric and not drift away and think about the wedding, or drift away and think about the vacation, or what I'm going to do later, then I'm concentrating on Eric. Every time it drifts away, I bring it back. And the more I practice this, the more I practice concentration. So concentration is the ability to keep your awareness on one thing for a prolonged period of time. And that's a very simple definition of concentration. How do you get better at concentration? You practice this. You practice this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's the only way to get good at it. And what's the best way to practice it? The best way to practice it is to integrate it into everything that you do in your life. Not to meditate 10 minutes in the morning. It doesn't work. You really need to look at your life the same way a sprinter in the Olympics looks at his life. We've all heard of Usain Bolt, the man that won the gold medal twice, 2 Olympics in a row, broke the world record. I don't know anything about him, to be honest. But if I was looked at him, I would assume he goes to the gym. Right? If you look at him, he's pretty ripped. He obviously sprints, he practices running, probably does a lot of long distance, he probably does a lot of stretching as well, I'm sure he gets massages. He looks like he eats the right kind of food. Drinks the right amount of water, takes vitamins. His whole day is so disciplined. For what? To prepare him for 9.57 seconds. I think that's what the world record is, right? 400 meters, 9.5 or 9.57 seconds. His whole day is preparing him for that short time, not the other way around. A lot of people say, you know what, I need to be more concentrated. So you know what, I'm going to meditate in the morning. I'll sit down for 2 minutes. Okay, now I'm Zen master. And the remaining 23 hours and 58 minutes, they just go about being ordinary and crazy. How does that work? How would you change? It's not balanced at all. So if for 23 hours and 58 minutes you are not being concentrated, you allowed your awareness to jump from one thing in your mind to another thing, to another thing, to another thing, to another thing, in an uncontrolled way, what would you be good at? The best way to do it is pick a few opportunities in your everyday life. For example, we all speak with people. When I speak with somebody, I give them my undivided attention. I keep my awareness on them. And the conversation is really brief. Why? Because we're concentrated. We're not being distracted. A 10-minute conversation normally just takes 3 minutes because you're just so focused. And out of a prolonged concentration comes the wonderful power of observation. You just become more observant, and when you become more observant, you see solutions quicker and you solve things quicker. And it's a wonderful, powerful feeling when somebody is concentrated on you and not being distracted.
The only way to break a habit, you guys, is not to deal with the triggers. You're never going to get rid of the stress in your life, but you can 100% change your pattern of avoiding work.
It's this fear of discomfort. People have this extreme feeling in their mind when it comes to their associations with exercise.
That's one of my first feeling, that I could hit the ball from any part of the court and feel like I could do it with closed eyes and make it and know exactly where it's going.
It made an impression on me. And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?
If you try and change yourself according to thinking that, oh, I'm going to a different country, or, you know, I need to please, or I need to not be alien enough, or you're overthinking it.
So that's that one voice. This other voice that we walk very far away from is the voice saying, hey man, you ain't doing shit. So what you have to do first is turn up this voice over here. The voice saying things to you that aren't nice.
Your body is like a race car that you can juice up yourself. Like, you can add the fat tires, you can add the improved suspension, you can beef up the horsepower in the engine. You can do all that yourself.
You have to be open to understand and accept the fact that you won't know everything.
Right.
And people won't know everything about you. So it's an education. I'm enjoying so much. You have to accept your uniqueness. Yeah, I want to do things that people are like, oh, she's doing that now. I look for things like that, whether it's acting, producing, I don't know what it'll be.
Sure.
I don't know.
If you want to be an anomaly, you have to act like one. Like, people want all these special things to happen, but then they're acting like everybody else.
Victory. I wanted to win. Not like beat somebody else. It wasn't about that. I just wanted to go the distance. Everything in my life, when something got hard, I quit.
It's this whole new perspective on it. And I think the ease of suffering is always in presence. You know, when you're in presentness, truly locked in presentness, there is no suffering. There can be pain, but no suffering. Suffering is something created by our own mind.
We all think our stuff is the best, and like, I get that. But yeah, that would be my advice, only because that also is liberating. To me, everything's about breathing, right? Like, to me, everything is about, like, take full ownership for everything, and then everything gets easy, because then you're in control.
The more I did this, the more I gained confidence. And then the more I gained confidence, the more I realized I was just sacrificing. And then through that, all these different tools started coming up. But I would have never found these tools if I didn't put myself in a very uncomfortable place.
Living in the present. So often our mind is either in the past, focused on what didn't work out, who did us wrong, mistakes we've made, or it's in the future, thinking about our goals, worried about our finances. What if my health doesn't improve? The problem with being in the past or being in the future is you will miss the present. David said, "This is the day the Lord has made." Today is a gift from God. Are you fully engaged, making the most of each moment, loving your family, appreciating the simple things in life? Or are you in yesterday? Are you in tomorrow? The reason some relationships are not healthy is you came home from work, but you didn't really show up. Your mind was somewhere else. You played with your child, but you were in tomorrow, thinking about how you were going to accomplish that goal. Or you went to the office, your body was there, but your mind was in yesterday, thinking about what you should have done better. If you're going to be fulfilled, you have to show up for life. You have to be there when you get there. Not show up and be in the future, worried about how it's going to work out. not show up and be in the past, live in regrets, dwelling on your disappointments. Come into today. Yes, it's good to have goals. I'm all for having vision, but you can't be so focused on what's next that you miss what you have right now. I know people that lost what they had going after what they wanted. They were so intent on reaching their goal, doing great things, that they took their family for granted. They came home, but they weren't there. They were distracted, thinking about what was next, planning for the future. They never came into the present. Victoria and I used to travel to India with my father. We had been married for a couple of years, and on this particular trip, on the way home, we were going to stop in Paris. My father was going to minister there for a few days, and we were so excited. Our first time being in Paris together. Before we left home, we put an offer in for a house that we really wanted to buy. We had sold our townhome, and we found this place that we loved. Had a nice yard and big trees, and the house was so light and open, it was perfect. When we arrived in Paris, the first thing we did was call our realtor and ask if she had heard anything. She said nothing. The next morning, we woke up, called the realtor. Any news? Still nothing. During the day, we would go out and look at sites. The whole time, we were talking about that house, believing we were going to get it. As we walked the streets of Paris, we took pictures of things that we'd like to do to our new house. Here's a front we could put on it. Here's how we could do the landscaping. We were in Paris, but we weren't really there. Our mind was somewhere else. We were in the future, all the while missing the present. We could have been making the most of that moment, enjoying the sights, taking in that beautiful city. But because we were so focused on what we wanted, we missed what we had. If I could go back now, I'd say, Joel, enjoy where you are. Be present. At the right time, the doors will open. The opportunities will come. But while you're waiting, stay in the now.
And so, this is why we are here, and this is the meaning of retreat. It's a retreat from yourself in order to find what the Buddhists would call the no self, or what other teachings would call the deeper self, or the Atman, or your Buddha nature, or the Christ within, whatever term you want to use to point to it. And that's why we're here. So all the external things here are helpful. It's easier here to connect with the depths of who you are and realize the depths of who you are. Of course, when you leave here, then you get challenged again. It's not that you don't get challenged here too, and especially if you're still very much identified with the mind, you find many challenges wherever you go. This isn't right. Don't like that. He doesn't look very spiritual to me. Or the opposite, all these people are so much more spiritual than me. Do they know that I'm not spiritual? So the practice is to voluntarily, as much as possible, relinquish identification with the thinking mind and your usual self. And what very much helps with that is just as much as you can. Don't walk around as a heavy personality and person with it. No, walk around as a light, as a field of conscious perception, and like a little child that goes and look at everything. In other words, presence practice. Here, it's more easier than in your usual surroundings. Presence practice, present moment practice. There's a lot of nature here. I recommend taking walks in nature, looking at the trees, at the sky. There's a lake, the grass, the flowers, many, many lovely things. Be as present as you can and alert. And as you walk around from one building to another, from here to there, really perceive. That already is a liberation from the usual self. Because you're not thinking, you cannot really perceive your surroundings fully when your usual self is talking to you. And it's probably not talking about this present moment, it's talking about what you're going to encounter when you get back home. Or what happened last week. Or it's doubting that being here is actually a good thing. Or it's criticizing something that shouldn't really be here, but it's here. You don't want to, because that's not a retreat. You haven't really retreated. You've retreated on the external level, but you have not used this opportunity to retreat from your usual self, your usual mind.
Paying attention is being present. And it's a skill, just like golf or tennis. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. So now, what's the relevance of that? Well, there's an intelligence that's giving you life that's always present. And many people don't take the time to connect to it by being present, right? So if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all of your attention is in the present moment, you got a lot of energy in the present moment. Now think about this. When I talk about being present, I'm saying that once you fall into the generous present moment, according to the quantum model of reality, all possibilities exist in the eternal now. So most people, they wake up in the morning, they come back to their senses. Your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact. It's a circuits of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. So people wake up in the morning and they think about their problems. Those problems are connected to certain people, certain things at certain times and places. The moment they start thinking about the problems, they're turning on the circuits from the past. They're memories. All those memories are connected to emotions because emotions are the end product of past experiences. So that problem has the feeling of disgust, frustration, anger, judgment, hatred. And if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, and thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body, that person's entire state of being is in the familiar past. And when you're in the familiar past, you crave the predictable future. So then what happens next? They come back to their senses, they sit up, they check their cell phone, they do their WhatsApp, they do their Twitter, they do their text, they do Facebook, they take a picture of their feet, they post it on Facebook, they tweet something, they check one email, they check another email, they check the news, and now their entire brain is connected to everything known in their life. Then they stand up and they go through a series of routine behaviors. They use the toilet, they go to the kitchen, have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, they go in the shower, they wash themselves the same way, they put on the same clothes, they walk out to the kitchen, they eat cereal with the same spoon, facing the same direction, they drive to work the same way, they do the same things, see the same people, and push the same emotional buttons, and they do this every day. So now their body is programmed into a predictable future based on what they did in their past, and they lost their free will to a program. And so now, if you're not getting up in the morning being defined by a vision of the future, then you'll be predictable in your life. You're left with the old memories of your past. So then, as I said, the stronger the emotion that you have some problem or person in your present reality, the more you're going to pay attention to that person or problem. And if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, all of your energy and your attention is going to all these different people and problems and places. And now, every one of those people and problems and places has a neurological network in your brain.